Well, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Doha for the final visit for this year's World Championships in the centenary year of the International Weightlifting Federation. David Goldstrom, together with 5 times Commonwealth Games champion David Morgan, and of course it's the big guys, the super heavyweights, to round everything up in a championship, David, which I think we can say in terms of lifting has been really exciting. As you see some of the personalities, Shigishev there for Russia, Glushko, his Russian teammate, Danielin, Ashot Danielin, weighed in at 167 kilos, Esen Mohammed from Egypt, just 19 years of age, Victor Skebatis, the Olympic silver medalist. And then Alexei Kolokoltsov for the Ukraine. And Pavel Nidek for Poland. But this man, Salem Jabba-Saeed for Qatar, and this man, the 2-time Olympic champion, the reigning world champion, Hossein Rezazadeh, the world record holder for Iran. It could be those two who ultimately are fighting for super heavyweight glory. So, once again, a very good afternoon to you, and David, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
So, on we go, and it's Pavel Nidek for Poland to get us underway here. Well, welcome back. Apologies for that. We just lost contact with you, I believe. Pavel Nidek here on the opening lift, 182 kilos for this very experienced Pole, 32 years of age. Nidek, who's yet to win a major, either at European or world level. He's come close on a couple of times.
Yes, I think the trouble with Nidek is that he's very, very good in the clean and jerk. He's been as high as 250. And he's brought his snatch up in recent years, but still not enough to really feature as an overall contender.
And the bar going to 185, and just to whet your appetite, 213 is the world record of Hossein Rezazadeh for the clean, for the snatch, 263 for the clean and jerk, total of 472.5. That's the overall world record. Obviously we'd love to see him close to that. I have to say, a couple of years ago in Vancouver, the last World Championships, he really wasn't pushed that hard, and he managed to win it with about I think it was 457, which was extremely modest. So Kolokoltsov for 185 kilos, and this should be pretty comfortable for this man, who weighed in today at 121 kilos, which is just about on par for what he usually weighs. Yeah, the first bit was the nervous bit, then he had the confidence to drive up.
Yeah, it's not a perfect lift, but it's good enough, and it's a score on the board. So these men already lifting in excess of 400 pounds in the very early stage of this competition, for those of you who still like to work in old money.
There was a B group earlier today. Dimitrios Papagadidis of Greece was the best of the bunch, totaled up 411, which he achieved with a snatch lift of 185 and a clean and jerk of 226. So now Egypt, Ehsan Mohammed, 12th in the world in Vancouver in 2003, the same year, incidentally, that he won the Junior Worlds with a total of 405 kilos. And this is the, in terms of age, the baby of the class at 19. But not in terms of weight, 148.56 kilos of him.
Well, it's not strength, it's technique on that occasion. Just taking the shoulders back a little bit too far at the top of the pull and just putting that backward momentum on the bar. The idea, of course, is to pull it straight up and then sit straight under it, and the temptation at the top of the pull is to lean, because it gives you that sort of little bit extra. But of course, if you do that, that's exactly what happens.
So I think it's quite interesting, David, is that Skebatis, who's an old warhorse, and Rezazadeh, the defending champion, and also Jabba of Qatar, all three of those men entered a total of 450, and they look to be the main protagonists. But you know, anything can happen, so the most important thing for these men is to get the lifts in. So Nidek taking a 5 kilo increment here. And as you say, this is 187 up. He did 190 in Athens, so he's getting closer to his previous best marks. And technically, that's great.
Yes, this really is the lift that he needs to work on if he's going to ever really be a contender on the overall. He's really got to bring this up, and to be fair, in recent years he has done. He's gradually sort of creeping up on the snatch.
Yeah, a couple of times in Europe he's finished as runner-up, but at world level, Olympic level, 6th, 7th, which is very respectable. But it's just must be also so frustrating to be, to be facing, like in his time, the likes of Chumurkin and now Hossein Rezazadeh.
Well, I think the thing about the snatch lift is that it's about speed, technique as well as strength, whereas the clean and jerk you can kind of get away with just being really, really strong, and he's obviously an extremely strong man. He's just lacking in that sort of power phase, that speed strength phase.
But that's a recovery there for Glushko. So gets 187, but of course now, having used 2 of his 3 lives in this first half of the competition. As you saw there, Kolokoltsev bombing out on 189, but he does have 185, so he still has the chance for a total. And now back to Ehsan Mohammed for Egypt.
Yeah, interesting character. Missed 185 because he leaned back on the weight, so decided that it was technical, and he doesn't want to waste his time taking that again, taking a 5 kilo jump to 190, and unfortunately made exactly the same mistake.
And now puts himself on extra pressure, because I think he's going to have to follow himself here. It would be foolish. 190, he is young, and so it's no surprise to me that he's moving up and trying the bigger weights.
Well, I think the only consolation is that he did exactly the same with that as he did with the 185. So in theory, if it had been 185, he'd have done exactly the same. So the fact that it was 190 really makes no difference, because it wasn't as if he wasn't able to get the bar to arm's length. So he's just going to have to go back. His coaches are going to have to tell him to stand up with the weight rather than lean back on it.
So Pavel Nidek looking for 3 out of 3. Valdemar Bazanovsky, president of the European Weightlifting Federation, in the audience, and hoping, I guess, like a lot of people, that Pavel will have a good competition here, because it hasn't been too joyful for the Polish contingent this week.
Well, I think this is right on his personal best, if memory serves me correctly. And that's a shame, because he would have wanted to stay as close as he possibly could to the leaders.
Yeah, when he did the 190, which was in the Olympics, he followed up with a 240, gave him a 430, which is just about, as a total, 430. It's just about as good as he gets.
So he's kind of there or thereabouts today, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks okay, which means that, you know, maybe we're going to see, you know, better than 240 in the clean and jerk. Hope so. Be nice if we can. But now we've got to hope that this man can keep his challenge alive. But you can just going back to what we were talking about a few moments earlier, it'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? Out in Egypt in the desert with the light fading and floodlights, and you know, as you said, the Colosseum atmosphere, and it's sort of made for weightlifting.
Well, it's made for it, yeah. And I think maybe
instead of these sort of rather antiseptic sports halls, where you know it's
yeah, you need to create an environment and an atmosphere to make it more exciting for the spectators' point of view as well.
Yeah,
you need to make it more entertaining.
Yeah. Come on, come on, come on, come on!
Well, he just manages to hold on to it. In a way, I suppose the super heavyweight. I mean, look what wrestling did. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't into the sort of world, wrestling federation, but I mean, I remember when wrestling used to be, you know, sort of fat guys in fighting in the corn exchange, and you know, old ladies with handbags sort of battering them, and they've taken it and they've made it into something that you know is a huge.
So early days in this men's super heavyweight class, the big guns yet to come out. Just to give you a little idea, Shigishev, who I think is a very good lifter if he gets it all right, could be very interesting. The Russian, who's looking for a total of 445, which is only 5 kilos below the big three. But talking of big, well, Ashot Danielin, representing Armenia, looking for a total of 445 as well, 167 kilos. Nobody weighs more than he today.
He's been struggling in recent years, though.
He got a bronze medal in the Europeans this year, but no total in the Olympics. The World Championships pretty modest, 430. I mean, he at his very best, and
he must have done around 457, I would have thought.
He has, but that's all of 5 years ago in Sofia at the Europeans. And of course he was disqualified out of the Sydney Olympics for being a bad boy, and he lifted 465 then. So yeah, you're right, David, you know, those days 457, 460, they're now 5 years behind him.
Well, it must be nice to see the top men all on form. So, you know, as opposed to a sort of Razazadeh walkover.
We don't want to see we don't want to see what we had in Vancouver when he, you know, sort of won it with 457 or 457.5, because that's too soft. So Ashot really focusing here. Well done. They really focused on that. So it gets him on his way. And I've got to say, it is the best crowd of the championships. The upper tiers are full.